So obviously a fair amount of backlash with the Alden Indy video, and there's one of two ways to respond to criticism and feedback. One, you double down and let that stubbornness get the better of you, or two, you take what people are saying and you try to see if there's any truth behind it, maybe find some blind spots in your own logic and reasoning and position on a certain thing. And that's what I'm trying to do. You know, we're all human at the end of the day. We're all works in progress. But I thought it was only fair to give Alden Indy boots a fair shot. Wait, before you skip away from this ad, the owner of the company that's sponsoring this video owns 2 pairs of Aldens. And if you stick around through this ad, I'll tell you what ones he's got and what he thinks of them to incentivize you to sit through this ad, because these guys are taking a gamble on sponsoring a video on the Anvil 2 channel. They're single-handedly funding this next venture where I get to just ramble on and give you a lot of the insight behind the videos on the main channel. So who is the sponsor? Well, it's the Morning Dram. And the Morning Dram is a coffee for spirit drinkers. It was started by Tommy, the owner of a restaurant in New York City that was awarded the best whiskey bar in America. And he's someone who values quality and well-made things. And he says he has 2 pairs of Indies, one in the brown rusty calf and a pair of the Earth Reverse chamois with the lug sole. The Morning Dram has 2 lines of coffee, the orange bags that are their barrel-aged coffees and the blue bags that are their single origin and blends. But the orange bags are really what is kind of crazy about this company, because they're barrel-aged coffees. There's no alcohol or artificial flavors in the coffee, just specialty coffee that's been aged in ex-whiskey barrels. So you get the flavors of a great cup of coffee with the subtle accents that you would find in a bourbon or a rye. And it's not just like a flavor gimmick. You can actually taste the difference. It's kind of crazy. We brewed up a couple cups. You can see we already used half the bags and stuff before this was recorded. But even the bags smell like coffee and whiskey combined, and it's a really unique flavor. And because it's so unique, it makes a really great gift for your family, clients, friends, your coffee lovers that have maybe never tried something like this, or the whiskey lovers that like coffee but they've never quite had the same fusion. One thing that I struggle with clearly is these bags staying straight up and down. But what does Tommy, the owner of the company, think of his Aldens after watching the video? He says, "I love them, but must admit it was pretty disheartening to hear they were not built to the standard I thought they were." So it seems like Tommy's got a pretty similar opinion of the Alden Indies after watching that video. So check out the Morning Dram via links in my description, and find them on Instagram at the Morning Dram, or go to themorningdram.com. Check them out below. And thanks again to the Morning Dram for taking a gamble, taking a risk on the channel too. So check them out, support them, because they're what makes this second channel possible. Also, I'm so sick today. I've been sick. We were on an elk hunt over the weekend, and I just got crazy sick on the elk hunt, and I missed my little brother shooting a spike elk, which was kind of a bummer. And the goal was actually to get these shoes. Spoiler alert, I've got some Alden Indies here, and I wanted to wear them on the spike hunt because it would be so fun to just take a shoe out of its intended environment and see how it performs, because I think that's one big difference between how I view shoes and how some other people view shoes, because I was raised in a very, very rural community where I was raised on a farm, working on a farm since I was 8, did construction, did firefighting, did a bunch of hard manual labor jobs. So that informs how I view boots. Whereas people who are gravitated towards Alden Indy boots are usually, I would say, not as rural, and usually are in cities and wear them as a nice dress/casual boot. And so that is a blind spot of mine. So I wanted to get these, and I wanted to wear them over the elk hunt, but I didn't get them till Monday, and then I've been really sick the last few days, and I'm still so sick. But I really wanted to get these unboxed and start wearing them. And I also had to just come in and record videos, because unfortunately, when you're the only one recording videos and you're in the busiest time of the entire year for boots and the channel, you don't have the ability to take time off. So I'm cold, I'm achy, I'm tired, I don't want to be here, but I'm here because I do want to try these boots on. So so the whole idea behind buying these boots was, I like American-made goods. I like stuff made in the United States, and I like brands that make stuff in the United States. And I would hate for one of my videos to be like detrimental to a brand that I feel like could do better and maybe might improve over time. And so I wanted to give them a fair shot by getting the most, how do you say this? Like the most the best version of a Alden Indy boot that I could buy, and that had as many of the problems that I maybe pointed out fixed, to give it as fair of a shot as humanly possible. Because the biggest argument that I saw, obviously I stayed off of Reddit because I'm just like anybody else. When people are talking terrible trash about you, you don't really want to read it. But through the trickling through employees and people sending me DMs and stuff, it seems like the overarching aspect of Alden Indy's that people really love is the comfort. The True Balance Last. I think that's pretty much it. The True Balance Last, and people like that outsole, and that whole outsole, the Cork Nitro outsole, that's a really good example of what my personal biases shift how I view things and how I talk about things, because I live in Salt Lake City, which is a city, but it's barely a city, and it's tucked right up into the mountains. Right from my apartment, you can bike 5 minutes and you're up in the mountains, and so because of that, when I wear boots, it's a lot of times it's hiking or when it's outdoors, and a lot of my entire life when I'm wearing boots has been for more non-city use and it's like use either work or play or hiking or hunting. And so from my perspective, those Cork Nitro soles are just slippery because there's no lugs on them, because when I think about boots being slippery, I don't always put it through the lens of everyone else's experiences. So we got a lot of features in here that I'm really interested to see and try out, and I thoroughly researched exactly how to get these to fit me perfectly, because sizing is such a disaster, and I wanted to make sure that I was getting exactly what everyone says is going to feel best on my foot and give these guys as good of a shot as possible. Like I've said that 4 times in a row. So I guess that is a good opportunity to open these bad billies up. So from the Shoe Mart, I was honestly a little bit concerned that they might see my name and not ship me these boots, which would be totally understandable. But yeah, I think that's everything I want to cover, and then we'll kind of go over the details once I get it open. So let's open it up. I don't really know how to do unboxing, if I'm being honest. I've never really even watched an unboxing channel. Like Unbox Therapy, I think, is the really big one. And I get the like ASMR aspect of it and the full showing all the packaging and stuff, but it's just never been something I enjoy watching, so I don't know how to do it. First things first, a beautiful green box with a little chunk of something on it. What is that? This is like not me trying to invent stuff to talk trash on Alden, but there's clearly a little piece of some sort of gooey chocolate treat on there, but that could have easily been one of my employees, because they opened this and then I sealed it back up specifically for this video, but I haven't seen them yet. So, all right, we've got the Alden D6947C in a 9.5C. I don't know if that's the actual model number. It's they still call it the Indy boot, so I assume it's on the True Balance Last and everything. So let's open up and see what I treated myself with. Oh, and by the way, this is gonna be my entrance into the Patina Thunderdome. I really like that Patina Thunderdome. I think it's a wonderful way to force you to go out and use your boots. And I think they intended that, but it's really fun to get a new pair of boots and have an excuse to go for a hike, have an excuse to go down to the farm and help the family out on the ranch type of thing, have an excuse to go do things that you might not usually do, that having a pair of boots to push you over that edge of not wanting to go do something, be like, well, I do need to get those boots broken in, I guess I'll go. That's what I really like about the Thunderdome, that's what I really like about boots, and I thought it would be a really fun entrance into the Patina Thunderdome, because obviously I've been on the other side of not liking the Aldens, and so to give them a fair shot and show the progress of it and really give my honest feedback is something I wanted to do. And the problem with running a boot channel is you'd be shocked at how few boots I actually have, and how many of those boots are not even broken in, because like currently I'm breaking in the general purpose Nikes that Tom Sachs designed, and you just don't get time to wear boots in all the way. So this is the perfect opportunity to do it. And so enough rambling, let's see what's what. I do like packaging, if I'm being honest. I think it's something that for me, I in my everyday life, I feel like I rush around so much, and so many of my packages come from Amazon that there's like no opening experience. And to be able to do this on camera is actually kind of fun because it makes me slow down and it makes me live maybe that experience, even though this box is just like has chunks of food on it and is all taped together. But first thing, we got the nice Horween and Alden little handbook here. It talks about cordovan. Spoiler alert, I got these in cordovan. And it goes through the polishing, how to care for it. Really nice touch for a really expensive boot, because a lot of people don't know how to take care of their boots the right way. So good job, Alden, on that. The shoe marked. I don't know if these is this owned by Alden? Let me know if you know. Because Aldens are kind of a dressier boot, they're in another blind spot of mine where I never put a suit on for anything. I think the last time I've even worn anything dressy was when my nephews get baptized, and that's about it. And no one there is trying to judge my clothes, so I very rarely dress up. But I would like to. I just have no excuse to. Okay, we got some duster bags. Nice touch. Never used one in my entire life, but it's nice to have them, even though I've got hundreds of them at this point. That's the one thing people really ought to get upset at, is not me cutting the laces, but the fact that I just have hundreds of like boot accessories and bags and all this other stuff floating around. Okay, I think that's all the basic stuff. Now let's get the boots out. Boot number one. Oh, look at that. That is a good looking boot. Oh look, another shoehorn. Speaking of lots of stuff that I have hundreds of. I've got so many of these shoehorns. They are handy though. I kind of am afraid to rely on them a little bit, because I'm like, if I use a shoehorn every day, I'm gonna stop tying my shoes, and I'm gonna stop like having that flexibility to bend down and tie my shoes. Maybe not. Okay, second shoe. Wow. Man, here's the thing about cordovan. It really is something else. It's like, unless you've really seen it in person and worn it and compared it to a lot of the other leathers out there, it is a pretty magical leather. I have a soft spot for it because of the whole story, but I won't bore you with that. I'll save that for a standalone video. So, what is this boot? Well, I got the cordovan, shell cordovan number 8 color, which is my favorite color. It's a nice deep burgundy, and the way that cordovan ages, the sunlight actually lightens up the cordovan as you wear it. And as you wear it, the folds lighten it up. So the darkest cordovan is usually gonna be is the moment you get it. You can obviously like put a bunch of mink oil on it and darken it up, but if you're really caring for it in the way that a lot of these shell cordovan heads like to do with the Venetian shoe cream and like the color number 8 polish, they will slowly lighten up. This one doesn't have any speed hooks. I can't remember if the other one did. Oh, luckily for me, here they are. Okay. Yeah, this one had speed hooks. Kind of interesting. Full eyelets. I don't mind that on a shorter boot. I'd almost rather have either no speed hooks or 3 or more speed hooks, because your boy has got scrawny little ankles, and I need at least 3 of those speed hooks to be able to loosen up this shoe enough to get my foot out, but also tighten it down enough that I'm not flopping around my boot. These, I usually just tie a little knot in the end of the shoelace because I don't have speed hooks, and then I just loosen them up. Another little difference I noticed right off the bat is 2 different kinds of welts, which is good to see, because I don't like this welt. This is a very standard welt. You buy this in bulk, so you buy it by the foot, and then these manufacturers have huge, I think, spools. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. They've got big strips of this welt material, and then they slap it on there, sew it around. And this natural veg tan rolled welt, for me, it just looks a little bit cheaper. This one is a split reverse welt, I believe, where they split the welt and then it's sewn down and sewn into the boot. But I highly doubt this is an actual, like, see, it's got the stitch on where the welt is, and then it's got a sidewall stitch. I don't think I've even seen a real Norwegian storm welt construction, so I doubt this one is. And if I look deep down in there, break my thumbnail off. I'm pretty sure that's a fake stitch, but the Goodyear welt stitch itself is real. You also notice I went with a little different sole because lots of people say these are grippy, and I thought, for me, at the end of the day, this is too slippery for my lifestyle. A lot of people love the grip of it and it works for them, but for me and what I do, it doesn't work as much as I'd like it to. I've got those 1,000-mile boots that have a leather sole, and a lot of people they'll work fine for, but for me, I just don't wear them as much because of how often I'm like not on pavement or concrete. And so I wanted something with a little bit of lugs, a little more grip, and one thing that's really interesting about this outsole, it is very soft. This video is already a lot longer than I expected it to be because I was sick, but now here we are getting excited about boots and taking durometer tests. So this outsole is 70 Shore A. So it's up there with like the Vibrams, but it has a very gummy consistency. And has kind of an olive green color. But what's interesting is above that is, on the toe, is like a layer of foam, it looks like. I don't know what that's there for. I've seen the versions that don't have the lugs that have that little layer as well. So I'll do some research and try to figure out what that's about. And then as for the quality of materials, has anything changed since this boot? I can't tell. I honestly can't tell if it's leather board or if it's leather. And that's a tricky thing, is unless you're really cutting them apart, it's hard to tell. And that kind of goes towards other people's argument of like, if it looks the same, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So I can kind of see where people are coming from, being like, it's basically the same material, but I don't think it's quite as durable as leather. So I don't know what it is. I can't really tell. I don't want to like cut my boots before I take pictures for the Thunderdome, but I definitely will. I'm gonna cut a little chunk out of here and see if this is real leather, if it's that fake reconstituted leather. And if I'm being honest, I really do like the look of this boot. I like the low heel. I like the little bit of a lug sole, and the mock toe looks really nice. And this is a C width, but it still looks fairly wide. And my foot on the Brannock is a 10C. So I went down half a size based off of how this one fit me and based off the recommendations I read online. And so we'll see how it fits. Looking a little bit on the inside, you can see, oh gosh, it's kind of this is a problem with Alden's. You know, it's so bummer, it's such a bummer. So brand new pair from Shoe Mart, and I got this huge gash in the lining. I don't usually get annoyed by like leather flaws unless it's a huge flaw like this on the inside of a 600, no, not even more, it's more than that. Where's my receipt? On a $900 boot, you have a giant gash in the side wall of the lining. It's not gonna ruin the structural integrity of it, but it's a bummer because these are $1,000 boots and I don't want a giant cut in my lining. That annoys me. All of a sudden I'm feeling a lot more sick after I saw that huge flaw. But whatever, we'll give it a pass for now because it really doesn't look like it's... See, and what they've done is they've tried to cover it up with a little bit of paint, and it probably was a flaw in the leather and they didn't notice it until it was made. They just didn't do a very good job of covering it, unfortunately. Let's check out the other one, see if there's anything else horribly wrong. Also, the lining is not glued very well to the outer leather, which also isn't that big of a deal. But you just hope that, you know, your boots would maybe be finished a little bit nicer than that. As for the insides, other than the flaws, you can see same kind of structure on the inside. You've got that leather topped foam heel pad, and then you have that split leather veg tan insole. And that's something I've heard a few people defend, and I don't think there was much of a decent argument there because, yeah, it's not as good of a leather as a full grain veg tan leather, especially for the insole. Ask Whites and Nicks about how many times those come back and they're split, and those have the grain in them. So whatever. Okay, I think that's all the majority of the details from the outside, just for the initial impressions. I'm so bummed that this has this giant chunk missing out of the side. Because usually what I'll do is kind of, I don't care that much about how my boots look. And then when people are like, oh, I got my pair of whites and they have this little teeny flaw, and I'm like, bro, in like a week, they're gonna be way more beat up, especially if you're using them for boots. But on the inside, to have a structural piece, have a big old gaping hole in it, kind of a bummer. And these weren't seconds or anything. I'll show you. As far as I know, they weren't seconds. So a little bit of a weird quality issue. Okay, let's see. Come on, focus. It's not gonna focus, is it? There you go. Bummer. It is a beautiful leather though. And I'm sure what happened with this is someone bought these and then they returned them when they saw that flaw, because this box is beat up. You know, like someone's just taped it back together because it came unglued. So even, you know, it is a decent unboxing experience. But man, this box was beat up. The shoes are a little beat up. Kind of a bummer. But before I lose any more energy, because I still have to record a thorough good video today, I'm gonna try these on and see how they feel. Because then I've got to take my photos for the Thunderdome, and then I'll actually start really wearing these things. And I'm not gonna baby these things, because to me, I hate that thing where you have to really like baby your boots, where you're like right now I'm kicking this little thing underneath the table and it's scratching my general purpose shoes, but I don't care because they're just general purpose shoes. But then you throw on a pair of Cordovan boots and all of a sudden you're like, every scratch is a big dramatic event. So usually for boots, just to avoid that mental energy and angst and anxiety, I'll just beat them up. So that's why all my Cordovan boots are not nearly as pristine as a lot of people's out there. Because at the end of the day, I have a unique experience of having so many boots all the time and none of them ever being broken in. But also, unless I really love the boots, I don't care as much about how they look. I don't even think I've babied a pair of boots out of any of the boots I've worn. Usually I'll start off with like 3 days of babying the boots, and then I'll kick like a trash can or something. I'm like, well, there goes that. I guess we're done taking care of these. But I do like how Cordovan ages. So I do enjoy the care process. I just don't care for them. Like I really enjoy shining them up. I enjoy putting the brush on them and really making them look clean and classy looking, because that's one of my favorite things is the transformation that happens to boots when you take care of them. And Cordovan has some of the starkest changes and can be revived to a nearly mirror finish with not a crazy amount of effort because of Cordovan's unique properties. Also, these shoelaces are a little short. Is that normal for Alden's? Do most people like not tie them up all the way? I do like the toe shape of this boot. It's fairly anatomical, so I get what you guys are saying where it's a lot like a Munson last. But it's not that anatomical, is it? I don't know. But let's try them on. These are my new favorite pants, by the way. Grease Point Workwear. This is their Sashiko fabric. And I love these. These are like pajama cargo work pants with a double knee. So, on camera, let's see how this feels when I slip my little toesies in here and see if because really what I'm looking for is like, so, okay, before I try that, sorry. So these shoes, this was a very fortuitous timed video, because I was just doing a little shopping in preparation for this video. And after this video, you know, I was, a blind spot of mine was pointed out of not being able to wear the shoes as much as I would like to, because we pump out like 3 videos a week and it's a lot of strain on my feet, and people make fun of me for having recovery boots. But when you're doing this for a living, your feet get a little exhausted. So after pointing out that flaw, this general purpose shoe is a really unique story, where it's supposed to be like a premium sneaker that's rebuildable, recraftable, and it's a purpose-built shoe by Nike. And after the Alden video, I was like, I better wear these and make sure I know what I'm talking about when it comes to how they feel on foot and the comfort. And it is a big difference with these shoes. I can feel how these feel differently from a regular pair of Nikes. They're kind of, at least for me, it feels like they're custom fit. Like there's a certain anatomical shape to the midsole, and I enjoy that aspect of being able to wear things and give it an informed decision or an informed opinion based off of how they feel. But also the problem with that is it's so different for each individual person, and because I've got skinny feet, skinny ankles, low instep, and that's a completely different foot than a lot of people out there that might love certain shoes and might hate certain shoes. So that's usually why I leave it out. But with something so universally touted as the most comfortable shoe in the entire boot in the entire world, well worth twice the price just for the comfort. You know, those are pretty bold claims, and I don't want to dismiss them just because they disagree with what my opinion was. So let's try these on. And like, I guess the tendency would be to like, for people to think that I'm just gonna like, oh, these don't fit very well, I hate these. So I will be honest, because I've been wrong on the channel several times before. Go watch some of my first videos, they're a complete disaster. How do I do this? I guess we're just gonna get some flexibility going. Oh, this is so hard. All right, let me scoot this up and I will try them on this stool if you guys can see it. The try-on stool. Okay. Not like it's that visually stimulating anyway to watch someone try on a boot. Okay, the first slip. Okay, yeah, they do fit my foot pretty well. Because I went with the C width because that's my true width. And usually I go a little bit wider because I hate having my toes squished. But this really does fit my foot about perfectly. Yeah, there might be a little room in the toe. I don't think I'm gonna have to return them. And because of my dainty little ankles, these laces are plenty long. At least until I try to take them off, and then we have to deal with how they unlace themselves. Okay, so no, I don't have my weight on my foot yet, so that'll be the real indicator of how they feel. But man, they do definitely contour to my foot pretty perfectly. Like the shape of like my toes. Ooh, yeah, that's a perfect fit. So this is gonna give us a really good baseline to judge these boots off of. But to be honest, I kind of have a little bit of inward, not pronation, sublimation, pronation, I don't know, where my ankles roll in. I thought there was gonna be a little bit more arch support, but it almost feels like it pulls my foot to the inside. But it is a very comfortable feeling first try on. You know, people have a really good point in saying like, you know, all you do is talk about these really heavy duty boots that takes, I'm gonna take these off before I scratch them, that take 200 hours to break in and they're really uncomfortable at first, and these are supposed to be way more comfortable. And underfoot, initially, they are significantly more foot shaped than the Pacific Northwest boots. So that's really nice. Because even for me, like some of the really broken in Pacific Northwest boots, on my outside of the foot, that little ridge, that takes so long to break in. And this does not have that because it's built in a different way. I'm most happy that these actually fit, because you guys know, there's nothing worse than like drooling over a pair of boots for months and months, and then you finally get them and they're the wrong size. I think this is gonna be a really interesting experiment, because there is definitely some good points that people have pointed out that I got wrong because I got the wrong size of boots for the initial video, and these fit me like a glove, and they're Cordovan. So this is gonna be fun. I'm glad these fit. I'm glad that there's some evidence for and against some of my points, because, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, it's like this whole thing is a journey for me, because I just started the channel from a work boot perspective, and so to be able to slowly like gain all the information and knowledge and experience, that's half the fun for me. So when I'm wrong about something, it does suck, because you're like, I just put out that video and I have all these things wrong about it, but then you can do a rebuttal video and fix it all up. I'm not saying I admit that I was wrong by any means of my analysis of the materials of this boot, but I was a little off on the comfort, because that's not what we judge boots on. You know, like, we judge, the main thing of the channel is the materials and how it's built and what it's built from. And the way that I view that is, my channel is the goal with it is, other than being a career for me and it's fun to do, is to not tell you what to buy and what not to buy. It's to build a foundation of knowledge for your buying decisions and buying process, so that I can give you, okay, Alden's, you're paying twice the price just because of the materials. And then from that, then you take everyone else's experience and take your own preferences and say, am I willing to pay twice the price because these are made in the United States, and because they fit your foot like a glove, and because of the hype around them and the Indiana Jones and all the other True Balance Last, every little thing that makes Alden Indy's, you make your decisions off of that. And I would like to continue to round off my reviews more and more by actually giving you long-term reviews. But with 3 videos a week and needing to wear boots honestly for like 6 months before you can give an informed review, it's an impossible task for me. Any reviewer that gives any opinions on anything, you don't want to ever think that they're unwilling to change their mind about things and be wrong about things, or not even necessarily be wrong, but have to understand someone else's perspective on the same argument, and understand that there's no concrete truth when it comes to subjectivity, and half the time with objectivity. So that's what I love about this channel. It's what I love doing, and that's why I bought a $900 pair of shoes to really check myself, to see if I'm wrong about them and if I think it's worth twice the price just off of how they feel on underfoot. So, time to record the Thorogood video. I wasted like 45 minutes talking about the shoe, and now I'm tired again. But I got my liquid energy, my Diet Mountain Dew. I'm all jacked up on Diet Mountain Dew like a true 32-year-old. So, thank you guys for all your support, and we'll see you when we get these worn in a little bit more. See ya.